What is going on, guys? My name is Alejandro and I want to talk to you guys about one of my favorite Lamborghinis of all time. And no, it's not my Huracan Performante, and that was super douchey. And I'm talking, of course, about the Lamborghini Reventon that's sitting right here. This $2 million monster deserves more than just a little video on it. So what I want to do is I want to open it up, show you everything that is inside of this car, and then at the end of it, you'll tell me if you would spend $2 million buying this car or it's a pass for you. For me, it's a huge yes. So let's get going. So before I start showing you every single feature about it, I think it's very important to understand where Lamborghini stands, where Lamborghini's coming from, and why they built this car, and why do they keep building cars like this. So Lamborghini's not known for building the fastest cars in the world, or at least it wasn't for a very long time. They also didn't make the lightest cars in the world, but one thing they did was they made the most beautiful poster cars in history. I mean, every single one of us had a Lamborghini as a poster in one of our walls when we were kids. So Lamborghini was very much into design, but then again, they've never been the fastest until now. With the Huracan Performante, these guys are getting and becoming a very serious company. But Lamborghini has gone through ups and downs and has been acquired by some companies, and the latest one and the final one has been VW Group, which is Volkswagen. Volkswagen acquired Lamborghini, and ever since they acquired Lamborghini, they've really made the company progress and take a leap forward like nobody else. From being one of those kids who had a Lamborghini on their wall to actually having one, to experiencing them, I can tell you that this brand has gone through a lot, and the change has been really, really exciting. So today I'm sitting in the Lamborghini Reventon, and this is the first really expensive car that Lamborghini made. This car debuted in 2007 at the Frankfurt Motor Show, and it was unreal. People lost their mind. At $1.7 million, they created 20 examples of the coupe, and they were planning on making 20 examples of the Roadster. And they were selling the coupe at 1.7 and the Roadster at $2.4 million. But I believe the Roadster production had to be cut short simply because of one thing. The economy crashed right when they came out. No one wanted to spend the $2 million, and people were trying to figure out what is so special about this car that makes it worth $2 million. And what I'm about to do right now is I'm going to show you everything in this car, and you can make the final choice if you would spend your theoretical money in one of these or not. I am personally a huge fan of this car, and I want to show you why. So let me take it out of the garage and show you guys what we're dealing with. And ladies and gentlemen, isn't she beautiful? Oh my God, look at her. So this is the 2008 Lamborghini Reventon. This is a monster. And I know that a lot of you guys are wondering, is this an Aventador or is this a Murcielago? And I think the best way of explaining is getting right into it. So this car carries the engine of the Murcielago LP640. That means it has 650 horsepower out of that V12 6.5 liter massive monstrous engine that has on the back. Actually, mid-engine car. So pretty much everything you're gonna see comes out of that Murcielago that you saw before. The body's completely different, and I'm gonna point out other differences. So number one, the looks. This is supposed to be 90-something% a Murcielago LP640, and as you can tell, it looks very Aventador-ish. There's a lot of elements that make it also different from the Aventador and very different from the Mercy, and I think let's explore those. Number one, and I'm not saying this is different or not, I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's never anything protecting the engines in these Lamborghinis except for glass. Same thing goes in the Aventador, and people freak out that, what happens when it rains? Does the car get all wet? No, you guys don't have to worry about nothing. Nothing happens when it rains. So if you just see one of these on the street, don't put your hand in there because it'll burn your ass. How do I know? By being very stupid. The next thing is going to be the super strange headlights, and the reason why the blinkers look weird is because they're LED blinkers. I believe they put them there was because regular lights, motors would burn in this car. I think it's a temperature thing, so they had to go with LEDs because they can take more of that, and obviously you have the bi-xenon lights on the front. So, trunk-wise, what do we got? Trunk... Maybe without falling. Here it is again. So trunk-wise, what are we dealing with? We're dealing with a bigger trunk than in an Aventador. But before I show you the trunk, you guys want to see the key to a $2 million Lamborghini? That's right. No, that's not a key to my Jetta, guys. This is a Lamborghini key. It's incredible. And how do you open the trunk, you might be wondering? So if you have one of these cars, you want to stick your hand right here and just pull this lever right here, and that should release the trunk. Boom, it did. And if you're able to open the trunk successfully, you'll notice two things. Number one, the trunk is considerably larger than the one in an Aventador. You see the car cover right here. I apologize for that. And number two, how cool is the owner's book, people? How awesome is this? Just this alone is so worth everything. I have really low standards. Aside from a bigger trunk than the Aventadors, you also have carbon fiber on the wheels. Now, how is this going to react towards something hitting it on the road? We haven't had that problem yet.
thank God. But we did have one problem. Towing company, when the car was taken to Monterey 2 years ago or a year ago, scratched the wheel, and it was like a $20-something thousand repair. So the wheels on this, very expensive. If you ever have to drive one of these in an emergency, just make sure you don't scratch the wheels. That's all I'm recommending to you guys. One thing you have to adore and at the same time hate about these Mercy Reventons is how wide the car is. You guys see how wide it is, but those mirrors make it extra complicated because you gotta watch out. You can't believe that the car is so long due to those mirrors until you're in the car and you hit something on the side of the mirrors. Hasn't happened to me, fortunately, but just always on the look, always on the lookout. And just like in a standard Mercy, Lamborghini got away with something pretty freaking awesome. You see this air vent that goes in here and gets all the way out here. Looks like it's got a radiator in there. Okay, let's go look at the other side. Yep. You see the vent is going up there, and he also has a pipe that seems to go up to the engine bay, or maybe gas, I have no idea, but it doesn't go anywhere else. So, Lamborghini, congratulations. I don't think you can get away with doing shit like that anymore. Either way, Lamborghini, the other really cool and unique feature about these cars from back in the day was, and I learned this thanks to Doug DeMuro, these seats are pointing this way. You guys see that? The seat's not immediately facing forward like any other regular seat. It's at an angle facing that way. And I believe the problem with what causes that is that they had to install the transmission in V that gets in the way. So this and that have to point that way. How weird is that? But either way, not a bad deal, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because this might be one of the easiest Lamborghinis that you can get into. It's not that big of a deal. And you know why? Because the tub is not so thick right here. That's a great thing. The seat is not really lower than the tub, which is another thing. And the third thing is the e-brake, the handbrake, right here, it doesn't stay up so that whenever it's up, you don't hit yourself here. And the same thing happens with the Carrera GT. The Carrera GT has the same functionality. So how do you know it's on? Unless the car's on, it's pretty much a good luck, everyone. So always, whenever you're getting one of these and you're parking it, you know how that happens. When that happens to you, just make sure the car's unparked by making sure it doesn't roll. Just make sure it doesn't roll. That's all of the recommendations I have for you. Also, for those of you who don't know how Lamborghinis get named, they're named after bulls. Like, exactly. The most legendary bulls on earth, that's what they're named after. They named Reventon after the bull that killed Felix Guzman, who was a Mexican bullfighting legend back in the 1940s. So, after that bull that killed him, they named Reventon because he was unstoppable, untamable. And since I'm already putting my oils all over the interior of this car, you guys gotta watch this out. So as I said, this car is based on a fighter jet. That's what inspired the design of the car. So as you can tell by the seats, all covered in Alcantara and some delicious leather in olive, all of that has aggressive fighter jet inspiration everywhere. You guys see how it says Reventon there? How awesome is that? Another really fun thing about this car is where the seatbelts come from. You guys see them here on my right? They normally come from this side, but on this one, you get them on the right towards your left. I thought it was a Reventon only thing, but then I got into another 640 and I realized quickly that it's a Mercy thing. So I might have said at one point that these were unique, but they're not. And also you have like that little plate right there that says 7 of 20. That's right, 20 cars were made, and on the roadsters because they had to cut production line early because of the economy, because they weren't so sure about people buying the cars at that price and all that stuff. Only one of them made it to the US, and that car is actually owned by Ralph Lauren. So how about that? Damn, that dude's got a crazy car collection, and kudos to you, sir. Well done. Since we're inside, let me show you one of my favorite features, and then we can go into the what's going on in here features. So let me get it going with the key. So how do you turn on a Reventon? All you gotta do is insert the key, twist it a little bit, let that come to life. Boom! The tire thing is just the tires are cold, so the sensor hasn't gotten the temperature yet. That is my favorite thing right here, the cluster jet fighter style. Oh, how cool is this? So right here it tells you in what gear you are. So I'm in neutral. I'm gonna step on the brake and put it on first. So you guys saw how that went into first gear. Right here is your RPM, which almost redlines at 9,000 RPM. You have your gas levels, you have your water temperature, you have your oil pressure, you have your oil temperature, and on the right it tells you how many miles an hour you're going going, and obviously any problems with the car will tell you right here. Oh my God.
I remember when I saw this car online for the first time, I almost shit myself because I couldn't believe it had a digital dashboard. And now it's a thing that every single car has and we take for granted. This was like the Alpha, the Omega, the fucking legit one, and they did it with a fighting jet dashboard. How cool is that?
Obviously, all of that area is surrounded by a little carbon fiber casing, which makes it delicioso. Beautiful carbon fiber accents, beautiful carbon fiber shifters, which, by the way, reminds me, this has a 6-speed automatic gearbox. It's the new E-gear, what Lamborghini called back in the day. And it's still not the greatest, not the best. It's not a fully automatic gearbox. You still have to do the shifting yourself, which is not too much to ask for, especially in a car like this. But it's not the greatest. I call them donkey punches, because whenever you're stopped at a light and you gotta go, you step on the gas because you want to accelerate. If the clutch doesn't grab first gear immediately, it'll go wah, pa, and then it'll give you a kick, and it's like a donkey hitting you in the back of the head, and that is terrible. Again, at slow speeds, this is not going to be the greatest car ever, so in a lot of traffic, you don't want to deal with it. But if there's open roads, if there's like light traffic, just regular stuff going on, just not LA rush hour traffic, it should be golden. We've driven this car and taken it to many, many places and drove it for hundreds of miles at a time, and it's been wonderful, which is surprising. But don't let that distract you over the beautiful Lamborghini carbon fiber materials that cover these fort-like buttons, like the ones in the Paganis too. Italy has a little in common here. Okay, let this not overshadow the Kenwood stereo that you're looking at right here. That's right, that is identical to the one I had in my Jetta. Identical. It's a one-to-one. This is incredible. This is not aftermarket either, guys. This is what Lamborghini was putting on their cars back then. This is before VW took control and gave you the Audi infotainment system that we all love. Honestly, we all do fucking love that. So I think now it's time to dive into the materials, look at some buttons, and see how everything is put together. Again, this is pre-VW Lamborghini. This is what old school, mega hyper expensive cars were. And also, let me remind you that the Enzo had the windows that you had to go like this. So it's a different time, it's a different era, they're different cars. So just know that. I keep warning you. So how do you put the car in reverse, first gear, anything? Is it really complicated? Actually, one of the easiest cars. Once you come in and sit in the car, you're immediately on neutral as displayed in here. You want to put it on drive, all you got to do is step on the brake and hit the paddle. Boop. And you'll see the change. But what if you want to put it in reverse? If you want to put it in reverse, all you got to do is hit this button and you're going to listen to all the noise the car's about to make. You hear the that's going into gear. If you're at a stoplight, this is a big disclaimer. If you're at a stoplight in one of these cars, even an old Mercy, it doesn't have to be a Reventon, and you stop for more than 10 seconds, the car's going to throw you back into neutral out of nowhere. Why? I have no idea. And the same thing happens in reverse. The only really annoying thing is when you're at a light and you want to accelerate and the car doesn't go, you like rev it and everyone's like, oh, what a douchebag. But you're driving a Lamborghini anyway, so you're bound to get it. So right here, that's my lock and unlock button. My speaker's right here. The car just threw the car from first to neutral, as I was just telling you that. This right here is for your mirrors on the side. Even though they're huge, they are electric and they are retractable, people. Look at that. Ah, look at that sexy man. And then that opens. So you have your hazards right here to open your gas tank. Windows are in the middle, kind of like Lamborghini kept them right here. They're still right here. Back in the day, sport button. I still don't understand what he does in this car. Why do you have to put a sport button in a $2 million Lamborghini is beyond me. It's supposed to be in sport the whole time. And it's not like the suspension changes or anything. It's just there. This is what I was saying about the sport buttons. I don't understand it. Traction controls right here. This is the lift right here, which is, by the way, so quick. And ever since I saw an LP640 doing it, I was blown away. That was the first time I ever saw a lift, and I remember my mouth was like, because I couldn't understand how these cars that were so low could go over bumps. That's how they do it. And now they charge you like between $4,000 to $10,000 depending on what car you have for one of these lifts, because they know how valuable they are. And then my favorite button in this car is this. Once you hit that button, the wings on the side of the car open, letting more air into the engine and cooling it down. This is something I miss in the Aventador. I wish they would have added this just for show. It looks so fucking cool. What? Were you asking about storage? Sorry for not showing you before. How rude of me. Here's your storage for all of the car. There is no glove box. And I thought these were patches that open, but they're not. And also, there's not a net behind you.
So that's pretty much it, and your trunk. The good thing is the trunk in this car is pretty huge. So aside from the exterior changes, which means it looks more like an Aventador and has those carbon fiber wheels, what is it really that different to drive from an LP640? And the answer is really kinda, because even though a Lamborghini claims this is 95, 98% the same car, this is so much more muted. This is so much more enjoyable on long rides than a regular LP640. Also, the engine, that V12 that produces 650 horsepower, takes this car from 0 to 60 in about 3.4 seconds. That was bunkers back then, but this is not that crazy anymore. It's very composed. Very composed. Steering is hydraulic, which is one of my favorite features because you don't get cars with heavy steering like this anymore. It makes it a little bit more special, a little bit more fun, a little bit more of a task when you want to take it out, but I think that's what makes it special. A very special occasion car. It doesn't make that much noise. The suspension is not so hard. I used to call the Mercy a skateboard with a Lamborghini engine because that's how it felt to be sitting in that. The fact that the seat's facing this way is not bothering me really. Once you sit down and just like position yourself facing forward, you don't have a problem. This is a really solid GT car. And for the longest time, I gave Lamborghini so much shit for like even the Centenario, like the Veneno. Why are you making these cars with no purpose other than looking different? With no purpose other than just charging people more money? And honestly, Lamborghini's getting more and more elaborate in these limited edition runs. The Centenario looks really cool. But what I really want to see is more performance out of Lamborghini. We got the greatest, best looking GTs of all time with these V12s. I think we're ready for the next level of Lamborghini. I think, and that to me is what I take away from this car. It makes a great noise. I mean, you listen to the downshifts. There's lag between shifting from one gear to another, but who gives a shit? Again, you're not buying this to drive it and be the fastest guy on earth. The car is not nimble whatsoever. It feels clunky, it's heavy, the gearing is slow, but it doesn't matter. It's comfortable, it's cool, it's got that extra edge over everything on the street that doesn't look like anything. Yeah, it looks like an Aventador, yeah, it looks like a Mercy, but it doesn't really. It's a different type of experience. And I found myself experiencing this and thinking, holy shit, I need to shut my mouth and understand that until I experience everything out there, I can't have a very good educated opinion on it. So this was me experiencing the most expensive Lamborghini ever built until 2007, 2008. So what do you guys think? If you had the money, would you get a car maker to make you their big signature car, a special edition, or would you go more in the Pagani Koenigsegg way? I myself would go with a big brand and the special edition for one simple reason: reliability. Because you can go to any Lamborghini dealership and get this fixed. Because you can go to any other Ferrari dealership, you can go to any other McLaren dealership and get it fixed. Whereas the other ones, it's part of the growth, it's part of the process, it's part of who they are today. So for me, if I can get a special edition Lamborghini in the future and they add a little bit more performance to it, I'd be golden. But this is not about me, it's about you guys. So let me know what you guys think in the comment down below. Again, my name is Alejandro. Thank you so very much for watching. And this was an interesting throwback to doing videos the way I used to do it, the way I'm doing them on Salomundo. Alright people, take it easy. Thank you so much for watching.